The judiciary. Article 233 and Article 237, 33 to 37 provides for a single, unified, hierarchically organized judiciary. One court exercises administrative control over court below and judges of one hierarchy getting elevated and appointed as judges of courts above. In the Constitution, Article number 233 to 37 provides the hierarchical judiciary, provides for a single, unified, hierarchically organized judiciary. One court exercises administrative control over court below and judges of one hierarchy getting elevated and appointed as judges of the courts above. Next, Supreme Court. As a Supreme Court, the Constitution makers of India adopted the concept of Supreme Court from the United States of America. It means USA. The concept of Supreme Court adopted from the USA. However, unlike the USA, the Supreme Court in India is not the sovereign body. Supreme Court is not the sovereign body. It is endowed with vast powers and functions including the power of judicial review. In the last 55 years of its working, the court has helped in strengthening democracy, protecting people's rights, and checked authoritarianism. It is vested with administrative powers over courts lying below it. Indian Constitution provides for a single integrated judiciary with the Supreme Court at the top of hierarchy. It means we can say the function of the Supreme Court is to strengthening democracy. Number 1, strengthening democracy. Number 2, protecting people's right. And number 3, checked authoritarianism. And in our constitution, there is a single integrated judiciary where Supreme Court at the top of the hierarchy. Single integrated judiciary, it means our judiciary is a single integrated judiciary where Supreme Court is on the top of the hierarchy. Next, composition of Supreme Court. The Supreme Court at present consists of Chief Justice and 30 other judges. It means one is Chief Justice and 30 other judges. Total 31 judges of the Supreme Court. Now, at present time, 31 judges are in the Supreme Court. But in 1950, it had only 8 judges. In 1950, only 8 judges. And Parliament was, however, authorized to change the number of its judges on account of the increase in its workload. It means according to the workload, whenever the workload increases, then the number of judges is also increases by time. On account of the increase in its workload, the strength of the Supreme Court judges has been raised from time to time. Such as in 1956, the Parliament passed the Supreme Court Number of Judges Act, which raised the total strength to 11. It means 1956, the total number of judges is 11. In the 1950, total number of judges 8. 1956, total number of judges 11. And then in 1960, the Supreme Court Number of Judges Amendment Act was passed further. It means whenever the Supreme Court increases the number of judges, then the Amendment Act will be passed. Amendment Act was passed. As 1960, the Supreme Court Number of Judges Amendment Act was passed, further raising the strength of the Supreme Court to 14. It means in the next time, 1960, the number of judges is 14. And then the Supreme Court Number of Judges Amendment Act was passed, further raising the strength of the court judges to 14, including the Chief Justice, and its strength was further increased to the 18 in 1977. Okay, in 1977, the strength of the judges is 18. And in 1986, it was increased to 25. In 1986, the strength will be 25, and in 2008 it was increased from 25 to 30. In 2008 they will increase and become 31, and now from 2008 there is no any other amendment. Therefore, till now at the present time there is a 31 judges in the Supreme Court. One is the Chief Justice of India and other is 30 judges. Okay, then we can revise these points, such as in 1950 the number of judges is 8. In 1956 the number of judges will become 11. In 1960 the number of judges 14. In 1977 the number of judges of the Supreme Court is 18. In 1986 the number of judges is 25, and in 2008 the number of judges is 31, and now present time is also the number of judges is 31. And the increasement of the judges is according to the workload, and day by day after passing the time to time the workload increases and the number of judges also increases, and in the future it may be more than 31 judges of the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court is the top hierarchical of in the judiciary, top hierarchical, and the Supreme Court is working in the last 55 years, and it works for protecting people's right and check authoritarianism and strengthening the democracy and maintain the democracy in the country. And it is adopted from the USA, United States of America, and it is not the sovereign body as in the America, but in our country, in India, it is endowed with the vast powers. It have vast powers and vast functions, including the power of judicial review. Judicial review is one of the power of the Supreme Court. Next is appointment. Article 124. Article 124. A judge of the Supreme Court is appointed by the President in consultation with such of the judges of the Supreme Court and of the High Court in the states as the President may deem necessary for the purpose. It means the appointment of the judges according to the article number 124. And the judge of the Supreme Court is appointed by the President. It means the appointment of the judge of a Supreme Court is in the hand of President, but there is a consultation with such of the other judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court in the states as the President may deem necessary for the suppose if the President want to consult. This is the case of the Chief Justice of India. But in the case of appointment of a judge other than the Chief Justice, then it must be the consultation with the Chief Justice of India to appoint any other judge of the High Court or other Supreme Court, of the judge of the other judge of the Supreme Court. It must be to consult with the Chief Justice of India to the President. In practice, the appointment of the Chief Justice of India as well as of the other judges of the Supreme Court is recommended by the Home Minister, and after the matter has been examined by the Appointments Committee of the Indian Cabinet and the decision receives the blessing of the Prime Ministers, it is formalized by the Indian President. All the functions, all the discussions, all the suggestions, consultations are held with the president of the India, with home minister of India, prime minister of India, all other judges of the high court or supreme court. This is in the hand of the president, and president finally decide and appoint a particular judge of a court. It may be high court or a supreme court. This article 124 gives the procedure of the appointment of the judge of a high court or a supreme court or the chief justice of India. Next is salary. Salary of the judges provided in second schedule. Chief justice is 2 lakh 80,000 rupees. Okay, and the other judges 2 lakhs 50,000 rupees. This is the salary of the Supreme Court Chief Justice of India and the other judges of the Supreme Court. Next, qualification of a judge to become a judge of the Supreme Court. A person shall not be qualified for appointment as a judge of the Supreme Court unless he is a citizen of India. It means the first thing is to be a citizen of India if anyone want to be a judge of the Supreme Court. And second point, a judge has been for at least 5 years a judge of a high court or of 2 or more such courts in suggestions. Okay, it means the first requirement is to be a judge of the high court at least 5 years. And second eligibility or qualification has been worked for at least 10 years as a advocate of a high court or 2 or more such courts in suggestions. Okay, one thing is to be a judge of the high court at least 5 years, and the second thing is at least 10-year experience of advocate in high court. And the third qualification of a judge of a Supreme Court is, in the opinion of the president, a distinguished jurists. Third is in the opinion of the president, a distinguished jurist. The inclusion of the last provision, which would enable the president to appoint a distinguished jurist on the Supreme Court, even if he did not qualify by a specified number of years of practices at the bar, was intended to open a wider field of choice. It means all the qualifications and all the things, eligibility criteria, will be considered or not. These are things in the hand of the President of India. If the President of India want to appoint a judge who is not in working in experience of 10 years, such as he is working for 8 or 9 years, then if the president want, then he appoint the Supreme Court judge. It means it is a power of the President of India. And the last thing is no minimum age is prescribed for appointment as a judge of the Supreme. No minimum age is prescribed for appointment as a judge of Supreme Court, nor any fixed period of office. Once appointed, a judge of the Supreme Court may cease to be so on any one of the following grounds other than death: on attaining the age of 65 years, on resigning his office by writing addressed to the President, on being removed by the President upon an address to that effect being passed by a special majority of each House of Parliament. It means there is not any minimum age eligibility. To be a minimum age should be to become a judge of a Supreme Court. There is no minimum age prescribed for appointment as a judge of the Supreme Court. Therefore, nor any fixed period of office. It means the duration of working is not fixed. But Once appointed, a judge of the Supreme Court may cease to be so on any one of the following grounds other than death. And if the judge, there is a 4 case of the retirement and removal of the judge is, first is on attaining the age of 65 years. It means whenever the judge to be age of 65 years, then it is a case of the retirement. And the second case on resigning itself to his office by writing address to the president in written with by his hand. And the third case is on being removed by the president upon an address to that effect being passed by a special majority of each house of the parliament. It means the president can remove the judge of the Supreme Court by a special majority of each house of the parliament. There is a 3 cases when the judge of a Supreme Court is removed. Number 1 is after 65 years, number 2 is resigning itself, and number 3 is removed by the president as a special majority of the House of Parliament. Next is independence of Supreme Court. To ensure the independence of Supreme Court, following steps have been undertaken. For the ensuring the independence of the Supreme Court, there is a following steps to be followed been undertaken. Number 1 is appointment of judges by the president in consultation with CJI. CJI means Chief Justice of India. Appointment of judges by the president in consultation with Chief Justice of India and such other judges as he may deem fit for consultation. Second point is fixed tenure and removal only on grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity, and addressed by both houses of parliament by special majority for the removal of the judge of a Supreme Court. Third is the terms and conditions of service of a judge can be varied to his disadvantage after his appointment. This is gives article number 125. Article number 125 says that the conditions or terms and conditions of service of a judge can be varied. It means the service period of a judge can be varied to his disadvantage after his appointment. Next point is the salaries and allowances of the judges as well as of the staff are charged on the consolidated fund of India and not subjected to vote in parliament. This gives article number 146. Article number 146 says the salaries and allowances for the judge as well as of the staff are charged on the consolidated fund of India and not subjected to vote in parliament. Next is no discussion can take place in the parliament with respect to conduct of any judge in the discharge of his duties except when a resolution for his removal is under consideration. This gives article number 123. Okay. Fifth independence of Supreme Court is no discussion can take place. This is a independence of a Supreme Court. Supreme Court independence. No discussion can take place in the parliament with respect to conduct of any judge in the discharge of his duties except when a resolution for his removal is under consideration. And the last independence of a Supreme Court is no person who has held office as a judge of the Supreme Court can plead or act in any court or before any authority within the territory of India. This is independence of the Supreme Court, that no person who has held office as a judge of the Supreme Court can plead or act in any court or before any authority within the territory of India. Next, Court of Record. Court of Record. Article number 129. Article number 129 provides the Supreme Court shall be a court of record. It means that every statement will be recorded and shall have all powers of such a court, including the power to punish for contempt itself. This is included in the court of record. The power to punish for contempt itself. A court of record obviously is one where the acts and judicial proceedings are kept for memory and testimony. As a court of record, the Supreme Court has power to punish those who are adjudged as guilty of contempt of court. The court has taken up the cases for their contempt. Next is jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Indian Supreme Court enjoys a number of powers evident in its jurisdiction. It means jurisdiction describes the functions and powers of the features of the Supreme Court. And these features, functions, powers ये सब explain कर रखी हैं with the help of jurisdiction. And there is a number of powers evident in its jurisdiction. They are of the following kinds. Following kind means it means 5 kinds. First is original. Second is original. First is original jurisdiction. Second is writ jurisdiction. Third is appellate jurisdiction. Fourth is advisory jurisdiction. And fifth is revisory jurisdiction. Number 1, original jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction, article number 131. Article number 131 of Indian Constitution provides for original jurisdiction that deals with disputes. And this article number 31 provides jurisdiction for original jurisdiction that deals with disputes, and disputes in between what? Between the government of India and the state of the India, and a state of the India, and more than one state of the India. Okay, first type of dispute is between the government of India and one or more states of India. Second type of dispute is between the government of India and any state or states on the one side and one or more other states on the other side is a second type dispute of the original jurisdiction. It means the disputed case, there is so many types of sides, so many types of comments, as according to one party says according to this it should be this, and the second party says not, it should be that type, second type, and the third party says not, first and second both are false, and the true and correct thing is third type. It means the one and more sides are under the second type of dispute. And the third type of dispute between two or more states. It means the disputes between two or more states. This is under the original jurisdiction. However, disputes arising out of the provisions of treaties with the former Indian states, or to which any such state is a party, are excluded from the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And the original jurisdiction gives the option to resolve it with the help of a Supreme Court by original jurisdiction. It means first type of jurisdiction completed. and this function, and this is given by the article number 131 of the Constitution of India. Second type of jurisdiction is writ jurisdiction. Supreme Court enjoys powers under Article 31, and this writ jurisdiction explains by the Article 31 of the Constitution. And the Supreme Court enjoys powers under Article 31 for the enforcement of fundamental rights. And this Article 31 is under the fundamental rights, and it is exercised in the nature of writs. And this jurisdiction is exercised in the nature of writs, जैसे habeas corpus, mandamus, certiorari, quo warranto, and prohibition. As we already studied in our previous classes, we have already studied habeas corpus, mandamus, certiorari, prohibitions, and quo warranto. Such as habeas corpus is in the nature of an order calling upon the person who has detained under to produce the letter before the court. It literally means to have a body in addition to aggrieved person other individual or organization can had for its enforcement. Second, mandamus means command. It is issued to command a person or a body to do what is his or its duty to do. It is a discretionary remedy at the hands of High Court, and an aggrieved person can approach the court. It can be issued against public offices as well as inferior courts and judicial bodies. And the third one is prohibition. Is used to an inferior court to keep within limits of their jurisdiction. It is a matter of right for which only aggrieved person can approach the court. Next one is quo warranto, is under the writ jurisdiction. Quo warranto. Quo warranto is used to inquire into the legality of the claim of a public office. It asks what is your authority. Its intention is to see that unlawful claimant does not usurp a public office. And the last one and the last writ is certiorari, certiorari, issues to quash orders passed in excess of jurisdiction of a court. These are under the writ jurisdiction, and writ jurisdiction is completed now, and this gives by article number 32. And now next jurisdiction is appellate jurisdiction. Appellate jurisdiction. The Supreme Court is the highest court of appeal in all civil, criminal, and constitutional cases. Moreover, under special leave to appeal. This provide the article number 136, appellate jurisdiction. This provides article number 136. You have to remember. And moreover, special leave to appeal provided in article number 136. The Supreme Court has discretionary power to take cases from high courts. This is a power of a Supreme Court to take over the case from the High Court. This gives the article number 136 to the to power to the Supreme Court. And the article number 134 is also giving the power to the Supreme Court. Article number 134. This gives the of the Constitution for the first time provides for a appeal to the Supreme Court from any judgment, final order, or sentence in a criminal proceeding of High Court as of right in two specified classes of cases. It means article number 134. It means article number 134 of the Constitution for the first time provides for an appeal to the Supreme Court from any judgment, final order, or sentence in a criminal proceeding of High Court as of right in two specified classes of cases. Number one, it means first type of case where the High Court has on an appeal reversed an order of acquittal of an accused person and sentenced him to death. And the second type case where the High Court has withdrawn for trial before itself any case from any court subordinate to its authority and has in such trial convicted the accused and sentenced him to death. In these two cases, in these two classes of case relating to a sentence of death by High Court, appeal lies to the Supreme Court as of a right, and this right given by article number 134. Moreover, an appeal may lie to the Supreme Court in any criminal case if the High Court certifies that the case is a fit one for appeal to the Supreme Court. If the High Court decide and certifies that this case is fit for the Supreme Court, then that case will go forward and upward towards the Supreme Court. Okay, I hope you understood the article number 134 of appellate jurisdiction. There is a two types of cases for appeal for him to death, sentence him to death. Number one is where the High Court has on an appeal reversed an order of acquittal of an accused person and sentence him to death. It means accused person appeal to the Supreme Court, and where the High Court has withdrawn for trial before itself. It means High Court itself says this is a suitable case for the Supreme Court. This is certifies that this is forwarded to the Supreme Court itself, any case from any court subordinate to its authority and has in such trial convicted the accused and sentenced him to death. In these two classes of the relating to a sentence of death by the High Court, appeal lies to the Supreme Court as a right to going forward to the Supreme Court. Now appellate jurisdiction completed. If you not understood the concept of the appellate jurisdiction, then you can revise the video and comment to me and say to me the confusion and the questions. Then I try my best to explain the things in a very well manner. And the fourth one is advisory jurisdiction. Advisory jurisdiction. This jurisdiction is explained by the article number 143, which is the advisory jurisdiction. Under article 143 of the Constitution, President can seek advisory opinion of the Supreme Court. President can seek the advisory opinion of the Supreme Court when it appeals to him that a question of law or fact that has arisen or is likely to arise, which is of such a nature and of such public importance that it is expedient to obtain the opinion of the Supreme Court upon it. It means the President decide that this is a case where the opinion of the Supreme Court is important. It means once we have to discuss and consult with the Supreme Court, we have to take an opinion from the Supreme Court, and this will be decided by the President, and this is under the advisory jurisdiction to expedite to obtain the opinion of the Supreme Court upon it. The President is not bound to accept the opinion of the Supreme Court, but if the opinion of the Supreme Court is against the decision of the President, then President is not bound to accept the opinion of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court just give the opinion on that case, and it is the President have the power to accept or not. President not bound to accept the opinion of the Supreme. The court is not bound to give its advice, and court is also not bound to give the opinion. But both the agree with both the opinions, then president can accept the opinion of the Supreme Court or deny the opinion of the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court also have the power to deny to give the opinion. Okay, this is gives the power by the article number 143 of the Constitution. Therefore Constitution is very important, because in all spheres of the decisions, executive, legislative, and all the spheres needs constitution's articles. Therefore articles explains each and everything, and also there is a need to amend it for good purpose. And here the advisory jurisdiction completed here. And advisory jurisdiction explains by article 143, and this gives the article 143 present key seek the advisory opinion of the Supreme Court. It means it is regarding the president. President can seek the advisory opinion of the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court have a choice to give the opinion or not. And the fifth and last jurisdiction is revisory, and revisory is under article number 137. Under article 137, the Supreme Court can revise its own judgment, order, or direction. Besides, article number 138 and article 139 provides that Parliament by law can extend the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. It means revisory jurisdiction given by the article number 137 and 138 or 39 provides that Parliament by law can extend the jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Parliament can extend the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. This gives the power to the Parliament by the article number 138 and 139. And 137 gives the power to the Supreme Court to revise its own judgment. Here the revisory jurisdiction completed. Revisory jurisdiction completed here, where the Supreme Court can revise its own judgment, its own order, its own directions. Okay, now it's a revision time. We are studying about the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, and there is a 5 types of jurisdiction: original jurisdiction, writ jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, advisory jurisdiction, revisory jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction explains by the article number 131, and the writ jurisdiction given by the article number 32, and the appellate jurisdiction given by the article number 136 and 34, and advisory jurisdiction given by the article number 143, and the revisory jurisdiction given by the article number 137, and the 138 and 39 gives the power to the Parliament to extend the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Now here jurisdictions completed, and we going towards the judicial review. Judicial review is like a power of a Supreme Court. Judicial review is the power of a Supreme Court and the power of a High Court to declare a law as unconstitutional. To declare a law is void. It means खाली है, कोई दम नहीं है किसी इस लॉ के अंदर. ये वो कह सकता है सुप्रीम कोर्ट डिक्लेयर कर सकता है किसी भी लॉ के लिए. दिस इज द पावर ऑफ ए सुप्रीम कोर्ट, पावर ऑफ ए हाई कोर्ट टू डिक्लेयर as a law as a unconstitutional. This law is unconstitutional, this law is void, inconsistent. Okay, if it is inconsistent with one or more provisions of the constitution, and the Supreme Court explains with the help of the constitution that according to the constitution this law deny this article, deny the Constitution of India, therefore this law is wrong, therefore this law is unconstitutional. This is a power of the Supreme Court, and this will be given by the judicial review. Judicial review is the name of the power of the Supreme Court. To under this power of the Supreme Court, under this, it can examine legislature enactments and their constitutionality. Okay, that according to the law, according to the Supreme Court, the law is unconstitutional, then this power gives the Supreme Court the power and opportunity to examine a law that it is according to the constitutional or not. It can examine legislature enactments and their constitutionality. It can examine the validity of any order of executive or any law of the legislature. It can examine the validity of any order, that any order is valid or not, of the executive or any law of the legislature. It is the Supreme Court to declare what the provisions of the Constitution mean. It means if anyone want to understand the Constitution, then if any department, any authority in the government want to understand the meaning of the Constitution, then the Supreme Court teaches him, because Supreme Court knows everything about the Constitution. Supreme Court knows the real and actual meaning of the Constitution and constitutional articles. Therefore, the Supreme Court is the only one who explains the provisions of the Constitution mean. The Supreme Court has power to review any judgment or order made by it earlier, and therefore the Supreme Court has a power that review their own judgment that is ordered made by it earlier. The power of judicial review is more implicit and traceable to Article 1, Article 82, Article 226, Article 13. These are the articles which explains the power of judicial review in more implicit and traceable way. If you wanna know about more about the judicial review, then you can read and understand the articles, article number 30, 82, 226 and 13. Now it's a revision time. We are studying about the judiciary, and the system of judiciary is explains of article 233 to 237, provides a single unified hierarchically organized judiciary. That the judiciary in this manner, it's very important. If you want to understand the hierarchically and unified and single organized judiciary, then you have to study about the article 233 to 37, that the supreme is Supreme Court and the lower is the hierarchically in the manner that the supreme is one, which is Supreme Court, and then High Court, then District Court, okay, then Panchayat. These are the hierarchical order and organized manner, and all the things are explained under article these. This is all about the judiciary. And the Supreme Court concepts adopted from the USA, and it is not like exactly same as the USA. That in India the Supreme Court is not sovereign body. Supreme Court works about previous 55 years working, and the goal of the Supreme Court is to strengthening the democracy, to make stronger the democracy, make pure the democracy. All around the country, all the decisions is according to democracy. Protecting people's right, checked authoritarianism. These are the goal of the Supreme Court. And the judges of the Supreme Court vary according to the time. As in the earliest 1950 there is only 8 judges, and in 1956 the number of judges increased up to 11. In 1960 the number of judges is 14. In 1977 the number of judges is 18, and then 1986 the number of judges is 25, and then 2008 the number of judges became 31, and now until the number of judges is 31. One is the Chief Justice of India, and the third is other judges of the Supreme Court. And then we discuss about the appointment, and then salary. The Supreme Court Chief Justice 2,80,000 and the other judges 2,50,000. Qualification: there must be 10-year experience of advocate and 5-year experience of High Court, 5-year experience of judge of a High Court. And the 3 way of the retirement of the judge of a Supreme Court. First one is by itself resignation, and the second one is when the age crossed 65 years, and the third one is special majority of the parliament decide the removal of the Supreme Court, and all the procedures are done by the President of India. Okay, these are all about the Supreme Court. And then we going towards the jurisdiction. There are 5 types of jurisdiction: original jurisdiction, writ jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, advisory jurisdiction, revisory jurisdiction, and finally we approached to the judicial review, which is the one of the power of the Supreme Court to decide any law is unconstitutional or not. Examine the law, it is according to the constitution or not. These all about our lecture and the basic brief lecture about the Supreme Court. In the next video we will study about the High Court, same as we studied today. And finally, if you like my video, then subscribe my channel, comment, and thanks for watching. Thank you very much.